Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the recent drop and double bottom around a critical level of support in the low 29,000s over the last 24 hours. And we're going to talk about whether or not Bitcoin is going to continue that drop, move farther to the downside towards further levels of support beneath us, or if Bitcoin will be able to hold here and continue the bullish momentum that we saw over the last 48 hours that then had to take a breather. We're also going to be discussing the principles of technical analysis, trading, investing, and financial sovereignty that all tie together into how you can make money and profit in this market through trading, investing, and proper management of your finances. Guys, I'm very excited for today's stream. It is Friday. I do love Mondays, but I also do love Fridays. I'm always excited to go into the weekend. I'm also always excited to go into the week, but I just live a life of excitement because we're trying to put everything in our life in order and in control, and we're trying to show you guys how you can do the exact same thing, and I am seeing so many wonderful fruits in our life, and I know that you will as well. And it's for that reason that I actually created the first inaugural episode of FinSov Fridays that will be going up at noon right after this live stream goes out. In fact, I may even change it to 11, so don't be surprised if it comes out a little bit early because I think I meant to put it at 11. But that video is 41 minutes long, and I go over exactly how people go from broke to wealthy and the two principles that make every single millionaire rich and how you can be just like them. I highly encourage you to watch that video. I'm really excited about it. I've actually been working on the concept for that video for about 3 weeks. I actually built an entirely new set specifically for that video. So there's a lot of things to look forward to. Today is one of the launches that I was talking to you about. It is the launch of our new series, FinSov Fridays, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Again, that will be going out right after the end of this video. Cannot wait to see your responses to it. Thomas Post is in chat this morning, said, "Morning fam, you were first." Thank you so much, Thomas, for tuning in. Philly Skills 1428 in chat said, "Morning Jeb." Good morning to you as well, Philly Skills. Queen is in chat. Caleb is in chat. Sam XPT is in chat and said, "Oh, I got a real good feeling." Grand Roofing Incorporated is in chat, said, "Good morning." Steven Shachek is in chat, said, "Morning." Being BTC Crypto Alerts. Alex, 2E Enterprises, I got your email about the conference, and I'm very interested in that. Forgive me, I forgot to respond to that, though. I am very, very excited about that opportunity. Thank you so very much. If anybody doesn't know, well, actually, that's not mine to share. I'm not sure if any of that's public. So, Sean Frost is in chat. Valerie Valenzuela, it's not Zuela, it's Zuela, is in chat, said aloha. Eric Ward is in chat. Bobby Smoot is in chat. 2E Enterprises said, "Looking forward to the hashtag FinSov content." Thank you guys so very much. Really excited to see a turnout over there. That video might only get a few thousand views compared to what we normally do, like 6,000 to 10,000 views, but I know that it is the kind of content that is going to radically revolutionize your life financially, and I'm really excited for you guys to see it. Life-changing seeds plant queen said, "Thank you guys so very much." All right, let's go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap. As you can see, Bitcoin's currently trading at $29,300. It's down 0.44% over the last 24 hours, down 2% over the last 7 days, down 0.34% over the last 90, but it has still rallied extensively over the year to date thus far. And if you'll remember to yesterday's video, to yesterday's live stream, I discussed the two major reasons why Bitcoin has value. These are the reasons that decentralization is important. These are the reasons that blockchain and the cryptographical functions of Bitcoin are important. This is the reason why the unhackable nature of Bitcoin are important. And it all comes back to two principles. If you want to learn more about that, I encourage you to go and watch yesterday's stream, but I'll break it down briefly for you. Bitcoin is the first superconducting, thermodynamically sound digital system in the history of mankind. What that means is that you can send money almost anywhere for almost nothing and that makes it superconducting. That makes Bitcoin superconducting, where you can send it almost anywhere with very, 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 very little friction or resistance, cross borders, very little minimal fees. And it's thermodynamically sound in that it holds its value for the long term, and it doesn't leak it away 2%, 3%, 5%, 10% a year to inflation, as most fiat currencies do. It'd be difficult for the entire world to operate its current financial system and financial architecture on just Bitcoin, but what we do know is that one of the downsides of our fiat system is that you end up losing money every single year to inflation. So what you can do is you can find a place to park that money so that it is not having to compound against that inflation. So that's where the value of Bitcoin comes in. Bitcoin is currently trading at $29,300, and looking over at CoinMarketCap, we can see that Bitcoin broke to the upside. And again, we talked about how Wednesday's trade actually would have been activated twice. You would have made 0.99%. Watch yesterday's stream. You'll see how Wednesday's trade setup would have made you just 0.1% shy of 1% in return. 1% in a day, that's pretty good if you're able to continue replicating that. Then we saw this symmetrical triangle pattern form, and right around the time of Coffee and Crypto yesterday, we broke bearish below 29.4, which was the floor that we used to put into place this first trade setup, which Bitcoin went through. From there, and I didn't show you this yesterday, and I really, really should have. I kind of regret not giving you this, but yesterday, it would have been very easy for us to go ahead and put a trade setup right here, because we were falling through one floor at 29.411, and the next floor was down here at 29.1. All of these lines were on our chart yesterday, and I could have very easily shown you that, and I do apologize for not giving you that setup. We started talking a lot more about the investment side of things, and while that's important, this was more practical. I probably could have shown you this. Using our principles of trading, we would have ended up setting up a trade setup very similar to this, in the same way that in the inverse, we set up a trade setup very similar to this on Wednesday, and this would have been a very profitable trade. You would have gotten into this trade somewhere around 396, exited somewhere down there, and after having made the 0.99% on Wednesday, you would have been able to make another 0.9% on Friday. I don't fancy Coffee and Crypto a trading show. I fancy it a show where I talk about financial sovereignty, I talk about cryptocurrency markets, I do technical analysis, and then I also, as an outflowing of that, give you trade setups and investment opportunities. But first of all, I'm not a financial advisor, so I do want to be careful about how many trade setups I give you. And second of all, I also do want to make sure that you guys are being responsible and going and finding these on your own. It's really my dream to teach you the principles rather than just giving you the trade setups. But using our principles, you could have set up a trade there and it would have definitely been profitable. Now, the question on my mind today is, how is Bitcoin going to respond over the next couple of days to the fact that it broke up to 29.7, rejected, came back down, double bottomed at 29.11, and now it's breaking to a new higher high. If we just go ahead and remove all of these trade setups, because we're kind of entering a new era on the market here, we'll use all of our analysis that's still on the market, and we'll just kind of reset our gauges here, because they're a little bit too outdated just to update. Now we can start asking ourselves the question, okay, what is going on in the market right now? And we can run through exactly what we typically do, the 3 Ps. What we teach here at the Crypto Jeb YouTube channel for trading and investing are the 3 Ps. And I explain it like this. The first P is perceive. I want you to take a step back using an education in technical analysis, trading, investing, financial sovereignty. Perceive what is happening in the market. Where is Bitcoin? Why is Bitcoin here? What is Bitcoin? In case you don't know, go and study that. And it's very important for you to understand what's going on in the space. Get a solid perception of where Bitcoin is, where the key levels of support and resistance are, what the key technical indicators are telling you, what the major events that may be about to unfold in the fundamental landscape look like. What are the dynamics between Bitcoin and other markets that are highly correlated to it, such as the Dixie, the SPY, the DJI, Ethereum, etc. How do all of those moving factors impact the price of Bitcoin? You work on your perception. It's one of the most important parts of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and investing and trading in general, no matter what market you're in. It's this concept of be prepared. You know, you've heard the scouts say this for, gosh, a century. In fact, my great uncle Johnny, I think it was, owned a camp in a Boy Scouts camp in Alabama. It was the first scouting camp in Alabama, and it was called Camp Westmoreland. For any of you guys who have ever heard of it, I forget exactly who it was in our family. He founded it and owned it, and he donated the land eventually to the Boy Scouts on the condition that they would use it for scouting activities. If they didn't use it for that, then they'd sell it back and it'd be donated, and the proceeds would go to charity. He's been long since deceased, but the motto for the Boy Scouts, you guys have heard for a century, is be prepared, right? That's a core value of ours. Be prepared. You've heard the song before, right? come prepared, having prayerfully planned so that you're prepared to produce profitable products. That is the core value. And so it's very important in the cryptocurrency space that we plan what we're going to do. And in our trading and investing, we plan what we're going to do. And how do we plan? Well, we first must perceive what is happening in the first place. So that's where our understanding of technical analysis comes in, and that's where we start today. What is our perception of the market? Bitcoin right now is in a glorified bear flag. And the reason that I can say that so confidently is because we saw a major correction right here, and Bitcoin's been trading sideways through this sort of megaphone pattern over the last period of time, ever since the 24th, that's the Monday. Bitcoin's more or less been in this gigantic megaphone pattern, and that is somewhat bullish for Bitcoin because we've seen quite a lot of bullishness come out of Bitcoin, but in general, this is what we call a bear flag, and in this case, we might actually call this a bear megaphone pattern. You don't see these happen very often. Typically, they can end up being more bullish than just traditional bear flags, where you might see a trend line like that Bitcoin respects. There is a lot of bullishness that has come into play here, and so we need to be on the watch out that this is not as bearish as it was a week ago. Things have changed, and I'm a little bit more bullish on this market than I was back on Monday. It is continuing to show me, all right, the bulls are showing strength. We saw signs of strength right here. We saw signs of strength right here. When we tried a second time, we didn't manage to hold, but we did try a second time to break up towards new local highs. And then also what we're doing right here, setting two higher highs, does give me quite a lot of confidence that the bulls are potentially close to a trend reversal in their direction. But this downtrend shows us that the bears are still ultimately the ones in charge, at least for the time being. Now, that may change very soon, and we're going to talk about that. But again, we still need to perceive where the market has been, where the market is right now, and then when we get into our second stage of things, then we can actually predict where the market's going to go. So right now, the perception is Bitcoin is in a downtrend. It's in a pretty powerful downtrend, actually, with price targets potentially as low as $28,545, which isn't that far below us. But the Bitcoin market is showing major signs of bullish strength. It is showing major signs that a rally may form relatively soon. You can think about it like this. If you've got a calm ocean, if you've got an ocean with a hurricane, I like to use the analogy of meteorology. People laugh at meteorology, but ultimately, if you have an idea that a hurricane's about to smack your house and you're able to put boards up and you're able to evacuate to Tennessee, then you have that ability because of meteorology. Of course, sometimes you're told it's going to rain one day and it doesn't, and sometimes you're told it's not going to rain one day and it does, but you're glad to know, at least in general, that the hurricane is coming in the direction of your state and where it might hit and why. Think about it like this. If the market is staying bearish, that's like a sea, the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, but the market potentially trying to move to the upside is a little bit like looking out over the Atlantic Ocean with all your fancy tools. Again, I'm not a meteorologist, but all your tools, all your satellite imagery, and you're like, the conditions look almost just right for a hurricane to form. They look just right that if this happens and that happens and that happens, a hurricane's going to form, and we're going to see a change in the condition of the atmosphere over the Atlantic Ocean. So that's kind of where we are right now on Bitcoin. Right now, the market is bearish, i.e. calm ocean, but the conditions seem just right for a rally to form that could flip the script on that. And so as we get into our predictions and as we get into our planning, we're going to keep that in mind because there is a strong possibility right now that the bulls are attempting a reversal. Because remember, we're still in a predominant downtrend. But Bitcoin has been putting a lot of volume to the upside. In fact, if we show our volume right here, we can see there was a lot of volume on that break up. A lot of volume on this red candlestick, barely moved at all. Ton of red volume, a lot of fighting the bears had to go through just to move a couple of dollars to the downside. When they fell very quickly like this, we still fell to higher highs, and we still set, to higher lows. We still set fresh lows, and we've still got these kind of general uptrends going on here that show us some strength in the bulls, where they're going somewhat parabolic. All right, so we've got a perception of the market. Let's move on to the prediction phase. And we may need to kind of jump around a little bit, but there might be some things that we need to perceive that we forgot about. But for the most part, let's talk about the prediction. On Tuesday, I believe it was, I gave it a 70% likelihood that we were going to break down towards 28,545. Then the next day, I gave it a 65% likelihood instead. And then after that, we saw the rally up here. And that started to show me, all right, my hunch that we may have been turning bullish was right, and so I should be a lot more on the fence about this. At this point, when I look at this market, based on the perception that I have, I'm going to give it a 55% likelihood that we break to the downside, only because the trend is your friend until it ends, because there is a major part of me right now that wants to be more bullish than bearish, and I'm going to give it a 45 likelihood chance that we break to the upside. Remember, the prediction itself is largely useless when it comes to trading because the point is not the prediction, the point is the plan, and we're going to get to that in a moment. And I'm going to try and do this quickly because you might need to instigate something like this relatively soon because it looks like a breakout might be coming relatively soon. Again, it is simply caution that I don't give this a 60% likelihood of breaking to the upside, and honestly, maybe I should. This is one of those areas that I'm going to learn on the fly as we go because there's a huge part of me that says, man, it looks like we're about to break bullish. It really just does. Bitcoin has not confirmed it to me yet, so I'm going to try and lean on the side of the trend is my friend until it ends, but I'm going to give it a very high likelihood, even if it's not the plurality of the likelihood that we break to the upside, so that we know, all right, that's a serious possibility. It very well may happen. And we definitely need to be ready for it, especially considering the green-red-green formation that we have on the hourly chart. And I really just want to say, I've got a feeling we're going to break up right now. So with that in mind, we're going to start off with our trade. I'm going to try and do it quickly because it looks like we're about to move to the upside. Long position. We're going to give our open right here above our level of resistance. Level of resistance, in my opinion, is going to be this flat level right here at 29,411. That was our level that we set back over here. That's the level that we set as support here. You may even draw it as a zone, but regardless, I'm going to put the entry just a little bit above that, probably at 29,450. That's the entry price right there I'm going to give. That's a little bit high, but I want to make sure we're actually catching a real movement. We're going to use a very conservative stop loss because we're betting against the trend. The current trend is down, even though the current trend over the last 6 hours is bullish. The predominant trend is down. Stop loss, I'm going to give 29,425. Might even make that a little bit tighter. And then we're going to move this up here right below our next level of resistance at 29.7. We're going to put this at 29,675. Using our principles of trading again, we are going to attempt to find our floors, or excuse me, in this case, our ceilings that we want to pay attention to. We've got a ceiling right here at about 29,411. I'm thinking that that's about the best number I'm going to be able to come up with. That's a low that we set over here on June 30th. It's the level of resistance we had here on the 24th of July. Level of resistance here on the 25th of July. Yeah, I'm going to give that as my level. I am, and I'm going to use an even tighter stop loss because I really just want to make sure that we are solid on this. 29,435. All right, very tight stop loss. As we come up to this level, I kind of had a feeling this was going to happen. That's why I started this first. I was like, oh, I'm going to put 45% because I want to use my wisdom and say, okay, I needed to confirm things before I go full on bullish. But honestly, there's a huge part of me that thinks we're going to break out during this hour. All right. If we break out up here above 29,435, then that's where you could go into an entry. This stop loss is 0.05%. That's a 20th of a percent. If you get stopped out here, the idea is that it won't hurt you that badly, and it gives you a 15x risk to reward ratio. If Bitcoin starts breaking strongly here, and we're only about $30 below the entry I just gave you, like I said, that's why I wanted to do this one first, because this is the one that is obviously a lot closer. We're much closer to going through a breakout to the upside than we are to a breakout to the downside. I think at this point that if we break up to 29,450 and you get an entry, even if you have to trigger that stop loss once, maybe even twice, and you lose 0.05% twice and you lose 0.1%, but then you end up getting the trade and you make the 0.76%, you still would have profited 0.66% even if you got stopped out twice. So even if you get stopped out of this trade, you could still leave the trade there and you lose 0.05% a couple of times, call it 0.07% each time because there's a trading fee, so 0.14%. Then you actually make the trade, you're going to get 0.76%. You're going to end up making that money back and then profit. Because sometimes it takes getting in a couple of times, getting out, and then you actually get in. But the profit is that you managed to get in the first place. And so that's what we're looking at right now is a potential trade setup up there. Now, we'll just kind of go over the principles of this trade setup on the bottom. Again, we went through the perception, we perceived the market, the perception phase. Then we made a prediction. And now we're going to look at the planning. We're going to look at the planning. You see why I put, by the way, this is a good example of why one of our principles of trading is here. Our ceiling that the market's trying to test its head against is 29,411. You always put your entry right above the ceiling. And the ceiling is at 29,411. We put our entry a little bit higher than that at 29,450. I put it even higher than I normally would have because I'm not totally sure where the market's going to call the ceiling. It could be 29,400 flat. It could be 29,430. There's not a definite triple top that I can just say, okay, boom, this to the dollar is the level that we need to look at. It's more of a zone. If we look at VRVP, it might even kind of show up here as a valley because there's not a lot of trading there. Not sure if you can really see that or not. It doesn't really, it's basically the lowest point on the VRVP because all the trading is either taking place above or below that for the most part. So let's go ahead and talk about our plan for the bearish side of things. And again, the reason I show you these plans is not just to give you trade setups. The reason I show you these plans is to teach you the principles so that you can go and implement them yourselves. Our two floors that I believe are going to be relevant are our current bottom that we double bottomed at right here around 29,123. And then also down here at 28,872. So same principle. Again, this should not be complicated. You're thinking, Jeb, this is easy. Why are you even bothering to show us this? That's the point. It's supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be super complicated. If you've got a 0.5 risk to reward ratio, if you've got a 2 risk to reward ratio, then you need to make some adjustments. All right, we're going to go ahead and put our entry right here below the level of support. Again, 29,123. Great. Put our entry here around probably 29,100. Just to give it a little bit of room, because remember, I take that back. I'm going to drop it a little bit lower than that. I'm going to cut into the profits a little bit so that we are safe. We dropped down to 29,870, 29,87. So I'm going to put this at 29,075. It's going to be a little bit before that floor, but we ought to make sure that, we ought to be in pretty good profit, in pretty good shape if we fall down that far. Then we're going to put our exit down here. I'm going to give it 28,888. And that will be right above our floor. This will be our exit. Risk to reward ratio 6.17. Maybe even pull that stop loss in a little bit. I like a 0.05, a 20th of a percent stop loss. 12x risk to reward ratio. Boom. There you go. Catch the solid movements. Don't catch the movements where the market's kind of prodding. That's one of the reasons we use those very tight stop losses. Don't get stuck in a movement like this. Don't get stuck in a movement like this. If you use a tight stop loss, you can make these movements profitable. But what you really want to do is you want to get these movements here. Even if you go up, you get stopped out, and then you go into the trade again. It's okay. It's basically like saying, all right, I'm only going to be in this trade if it is above the level that I entered at. Period. If it goes below that, then I'll enter the trade a second time. That's what we did over here. And if we had to use the same trade again, by the way, you would have made even more money. If you'll remember, I gave you a trade on Wednesday, I believe it was. Wednesday. It was basically a trade like this. You can go back on Coffee and Crypto and see this. And it would have triggered twice. And you would have made money both times. But if you run this trade forward, it actually would have triggered 2 more times. So this trade that I gave you on Wednesday actually would have triggered 4 times for a grand profit of nearly 2%. The first time you would have made... let's see, it was 0.23%, then you would have lost 0.1%, I think it was. So for a profit of, with the trailing stop loss of 0.1%, then you would have made 0.13%. That's what I'm trying to say. With a trailing stop loss of 0.1%, then you would have made 0.78% up here. I forgot what exactly the numbers were because I don't have it up, but I remember it would have been 0.99% in total in profit if you use those principles. Same thing here. You would have ended up making about 0.13% with that 0.1% trailing stop loss. Same thing here. You would have ended up making about 0.39%. So with that one trade triggering over and over and over again, and as you fell below the floor, then you got out of it, and you're not in a long if you're down here. You're only in a long if you're up here. Then you have a very tight trailing stop loss. And you make money. It's that simple. There you go. So again, those are the principles of trading that will help you in these markets. First and foremost, find your floors and ceilings, and find a few of them above and a few of them below. What are the next 3 floors above you? Next 3 floors below you, and what are the next 3 floors above you? Likewise, when you get above a floor, put an entry, then put the stop loss right below it. I like the number 0.05%. It's a nice number. Very tight. You're going to get stopped out a good bit, but when you get stopped out, it's not going to hurt you that much. Put the exit right before the next ceiling, because that's where the market's going to go. You got to get very good at calling where the ceilings are going to be and the floors are going to be. And then keep running the trade over and over and over again, so long as you're dipping below that floor and then going back up above. And you can use the same trade setup 4, 5, 6 times sometimes and make profit every single time with the exact same plan. It's easy money. And then also make sure you're using a trailing stop loss. It's one of the most important concepts to make this work. You've got to use the trailing stop loss because sometimes the market's not going to get as far as you want it to. I like the number 0.1% for the kind of range that we're in right now. So for Bitcoin, that might be a trailing stop loss of, what is 0.1% on Bitcoin? $29? Yeah, $29 to $30 worth of stop loss on Bitcoin, and that will help you to profit. So again, here's the trade setup to the upside. Here's the trade setup to the downside. I believe one of them will probably be profitable. Again, use extremely tight stop losses and use very tight trailing stop losses. Here's your principle. You want to take a principle. Don't sit in a losing trade. If the trade starts to lose, then get out of it. And then if the trade starts to win again, get back in it. Only be in the trade while it's winning. Get out of the trade when it's losing. Don't stay in it while it's losing. Get out of the trade while it's losing. Stay in the trade while it's winning. You will be glad you did. Again, I am not here to give you specific investment advice, and I'm not for any regard telling you to take these trades. This is simply principle that I want you to walk away from this. I would encourage you not to just take my numbers and walk away with that. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, and I'm not trying to give you specific trade setups or specific investment advice. I simply want you to walk away with the principles so that whatever market you're in, you can utilize them to their fullest. Now, Bitcoin has dropped to key support. Will that support hold? Well, right now, it definitely looks like it is going to hold. Bitcoin is breaking up here to $29,400. And if Bitcoin does break up here to $29,400, then I believe that $29,400 being broken and putting us into this next floor, if you will, between $29,400 and $29,700, gives us more confidence that $29,100 will be achieved. Okay, and as we talk, looks like we're breaking up here. Let's see. My principles are going to be tested on the fly. Remember, if you enter this trade, a 0.1% or smaller trailing stop loss is key. It's critical. Pretty much as soon as you get in this trade, your stop loss should be higher than your entry. All right, the market just would have triggered your trade. You would be in our trade by now, and you have a trailing stop loss that's already above your entry price, so that if you took this trade, you're already in profit guaranteed no matter what. Okay, did you hear me there? I hope you heard that. If you took this trade and you did what I said, you're already in profit guaranteed no matter what, because your trailing stop loss is already at 29,470. You got in at 29,450. You have already made, if you did exactly what I told you to do, you would have already made 0.08% guaranteed. So the principles, we've been in this trade for 10 seconds now. You've already made money, and there's no question about it so long as you use the principles. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So we're just gonna go ahead and remove the prediction, because as I thought, this prediction was wrong. As I thought, the market was probably going to break to the upside. Let's go ahead and remove this. Not really embarrassed about it. I don't really care too much. Like I said, the point of what we're doing here is not to is not to get our predictions right. The point is to get the plans right. And the plan on this one was right. Like I said, if you use that 0.1% trailing stop loss, by the time we jump up here, it's at 29.5. The 0.1% trailing stop loss would have had to stop at 29,474, which is $24 above where you entered. That means that if you go below 29,474, you would have exited, which we haven't done that yet, and you'd be in good shape. So there you go. You're in a profitable trade right now if you did what I showed you over the course of this hour. Not sure why the market's doing that. Oh, maybe it's because we're saying we're in that. All right. And again, if you get out of it, then get back in it. As far as if you get out, then you can adjust this on the fly, and you can say, okay, if it breaks through this level, you can come down here on the 5-minute chart, and you can say, all right, well, if it breaks through this level, then I'm going to put an entry inside of this. I'm going to say if we break a little bit above, then I'm going to put a stop loss a little bit below, and then I'm going to put the take profit right back up where we started. All right, so if you do get stopped out by that trailing stop loss, it's okay. Use the most recent local high as the level to beat to enter into the next phase of your trade. You're not going to need to do that right now, I don't think, because I don't think you would have gotten stopped out. It came very, very close with the 0.1% trailing stop loss. Again, if you trigger the 0.1% trailing stop loss, don't be afraid to jump back in. Just wait until it makes a fresh high. All right, just wait until the market makes a fresh high. Don't trade in here. Wait until it breaks a fresh high, which is what it's doing right now. Give it a little bit of room to actually confirm, so you're not just putting a slightly higher high. Have a very tight stop loss. And use your brain, because there are ways that you can overtrade the market. You can run into too many stop losses, and you'll actually lose more money because you keep stopping out because your stop losses are too tight, or because you're entering at the wrong time. There is a certain degree of expertise here that needs to be capitalized on. All right, let me just be very clear on that. And you can see what we're looking. You can see exactly what I'm talking about right now. If this local high here over the last few seconds, I'm actually just going to go down to the 15-second chart. This high right here is a little bit higher than this one, but not by much. I wouldn't enter this just yet. Wait until you get a really strong break above this. All right, we moved up here in the span of like 5 seconds. Okay, let's watch it for a little bit. Cool. So the market is moving now. The market has broken above 29,411 concretely, $100 above it. It's a pretty solid break. Looking down the 5-minute chart, we're kind of going parabolic. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the stream. Like I said, we're kind of going a little parabolic. And we're going to want to see what happens. Again, if you enter this trade, you are in guaranteed profit. If you enter a second trade, be careful, because you're probably not in that much profit, right? You're probably in, if you did get stopped out, depending on the exchange you're in, and depending on whether you use 0.1% or a little bit lower, then you may have gotten stopped out. But at least you would have made 0.1%. Now remember, if you have a 0.1% stop loss and you get stopped out again, then you're in no profit. All right, we're working on hundredths of a percent here. So you want to avoid getting stopped out if you can, but it's also nice to use very tight stop losses. And to be honest with you, you can overtrade, and you want to be very careful with that. Okay, so by now you may have gotten stopped out. You made 0.1%. Wait for a better entry. You don't see it yet. It's not here yet. Wait for a better entry. If you're following our principles, if you're following exactly what I told you to do, you've made 0.1% in the last 10 minutes. Shoot, the last 5 minutes. It's pretty good. 0.1% doesn't seem like a lot. On 100 grand, that's $100. You do that 1,000 times, then you'll double your money. Okay? So don't get discouraged by 0.1%. You're not in a trade right now, more than likely because you may have gotten stopped out right down here at the bottom. You may have said, I'm just going to give it just a little bit more room. Since we already bottomed out here, we're going to see if we double bottom. That's a little bit more of an advanced trading strategy. You want to be careful. But you're working with profit here, so it's not the end of the world. You may have avoided letting the stop loss trigger because down here on the 15-second chart, I mean, we'll go down to the 1-second chart and I'll show you. There is essentially a bear flag painting itself right now on the 1-second chart. The 1-second chart is actually very useful, by the way, on TradingView. Some people think it's a waste of money. It's not. It's useful because everything we're doing down here is on the 1 second. All right, we broke through the bear flag to the downside. Now your stop loss might end up getting triggered, and it would make more sense. You've locked in your gains from the beginning of this trade. Now the market may very well fall right out of this, and then you know what? If it does, then you use the exact same trade setup all over again because it worked once. Market's in the exact same position. Boom. By now, you should have been out of your trade because that trailing stop loss would have triggered. We're not even back to where we started, so you would have made profit if you're doing exactly what I said. Again, not specific investment advice. I am simply telling you what the principles of trading are, and you're applying them. I'm not telling you exactly. So now we're back down here. Boom. But that's okay. You know why? Because your trailing stop loss triggered right here so long as you weren't fiddling with it. And if you were fiddling with it, it may have triggered 0.1% lower. Oh well. You entered at 29,450. You exited at 29,473. You're up 0.8% to 0.1%. Now that we're back down below 29,450, I'd give it 5-10 minutes. See if it comes back down to backtest 29,411. If it bounces bullish off of that, remember that's our recent level of resistance. We set that here as resistance on the second chart over here at 1022. If we fall back far enough and then we break through 29,450 again, run the trade again. Worked the first time, didn't it? Don't fix something that isn't broke. But if it is broke, then you need to fix it, right? So this trade happens to be working well. So don't fix it. It's working fine. I mean, as far as you can do whatever you want with it, but I'm saying, however you set it up, if something's working, then run it, you know? Run it. If you need to adjust something, adjust something. This is a great time to adjust something, by the way, because if you have the market break through a trade setup one time, and the market proves that it actually is a good trade setup, then keep running it, as long as the market's in that range. But if you find that something is wrong, then say, all right, I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to adjust this. Now, be careful about just entering in at 29,450 carelessly right here, because the market's still having this volatility. Still having this volatility. Our exit's down here at 29,435. You don't want to just enter at 29,450 and then exit right here. You don't want to just enter, exit like 5 times, because then you're going to lose 0.5% every time, and you're going to end up losing out on the on that profit that you just made. Then you'll be in the net negative. You might want to let the market confirm itself a little bit more than before. At this point, a tweak that you might give is you might say, all right, if you really want me to enter this, then either I have to enter up here at 29,475 or I have to enter up here at 29,500. I wouldn't blame you if you moved your entry price up to 29,500. And part of the reason I wouldn't blame you for that is because 29,500 is actually a pretty big level of resistance. So I'm going to give you 2 options. I want you to choose this based on your wisdom. Both of them have their merits, although I'm actually kind of leaning towards the second. The first option is you use the same entry again, as I said. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This might be a little bit broke, though, because the market might not just shoot straight through here like it did last time. It's kind of just inching up here. Again, that second chart on paid TradingView is very useful. Sign up for TradingView's paid plan using the link down below. It helps to support the channel. Breaking through that level doesn't look like it's going to be as significant as it was before. So maybe you want to move your entry price up here to 29.5 or 29.515, whatever the number may be. So I hope you can see how the principles of trading play out. Again, one of the ways that people lose a lot of money is they overtrade and they get stopped out too many times. It's better to pick a trade that you're very confident in rather than to pick 10 trades that you're like, all right, It seems okay. Better to enter trades that you're more confident in because that stop loss should be tight. But the reason that you afford that stop loss to be so tight is because you think you're not going to need it in the first place. Capiche? All right, cool. Okay. Red X said, dang it, Jeb, somehow I was unsubscribed from you. I hate this. Man, I don't know why. Apologies for that. Welcome back. Good to see you. Make sure that you guys check out the channel because I'm actually going to upload this video at 11. There's no reason to wait until 12 because all the hype is right now. So this video will be going up at 11. I'm actually going to set this as a premiere. And you can go on over to the YouTube channel and it will be going live in about 20 minutes. I'm going to set it right now. I'm very, very, very excited for this video. If you have not already heard, we're going to be doing more content in the direction of financial sovereignty as well. I think you're going to really love this video. As you can see, here's the premiere. You might think this is clickbait. I promise you it's not. How 2 principles make all millionaires rich. It's true. You watch this video and you're going to understand exactly what I mean by that. And I do believe that this video has the potential to change your life in the way that you look at money. And it will be a video that I'll be referencing back to quite frequently. We're going to try and make those, we're going to try and get those up once a week. I'm not going to commit to that just yet because we're still very, very, very much in the prototype phase of that kind of content, but I am very excited about it. David Prater said, thank you for teaching us. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Which tool is he using to draw that up? Not sure what you mean as far as TradingView. We're using TradingView. We're using the I use the line tool and a few others. And you can see this is where I would say I'm not really sure if I want to use the same entry again, to be honest with you, because this time we're just kind of creeping up through here. I'm not sure. If I do, it's a very tight stop loss this time. Very, 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 very tight. And I'm really just not sure if I want to get in yet. I think this time I'd probably be like, I think I want to adjust up here to 29.5 because that's our double top. If we break through that, then we might have a kind of a strong breakthrough. Use those principles of trading. Be very careful of over trading. I would probably not take this entry this time. Okay? 29,450, probably wouldn't do it. At least not yet. Market hasn't shown me that it's strong. This is showing me that it's kind of creeping. Market's creeping in a bear flag, which predicts bearishness, by the way. Probably not your best bet to enter a long when the market is predicting bearishness with its chart formations. Okay. Let me know when you're back in Michigan, and I'll set you up for successful adventure. Wow, thank you. It was that tool you were using to mark red and green. Yes, that is called the... I'll show you right now. That is called the long position and the short position. See right there? It's over here on TradingView. It's the 5th tool down. You've got your crosshairs tool. You got your lines tool. You got your retracements tool. Your patterns. And then you've got projection. There's all kinds of different projections you can make, but this is the long and the short tool. Alrighty. Definitely thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are enjoying today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure also to sign up for Lux Algo using coupon code JEB30. That's JEBB30 for 30% off at checkout. It's an incredible tool, and it's definitely going to help you guys out a lot. Going to help you guys out a lot. Easy. Thanks. Of course. Sour yams. Sour yams? Why'd your yams go sour? What happened? What happened to your yams? I hope that's not a euphemism for something, because I am way too innocent. Let's see. Bear Trapperino or we Pumpino? That is the $1 million question. At the moment, it's looking like it's trying to break bullish. Can't see it. We're not so sure. We're not so sure just yet. It's going to have to prove itself. Hey Jeb, what do you recommend for becoming closer to God? I was coming home one day, and I have an interesting story. I'll tell the story and I'll wrap it out. I was coming home one day, and I looked down on my dash, and it was 6:33, and I looked up and I saw the sign that I was entering the town of Fellowship, and I felt very clearly something interesting come into mind. 6:33, Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." That is a core value of our company, righteous living. I expect myself, our employees, our team members, our customers to live in a way that is righteous. It's important. That includes integrity. That includes discipline. That includes meeting your commitments, etc. And some of those we expand upon in other places. But I looked down and it was 6:33, and I thought in my head, Matthew 6:33, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. I bet it was prophesied by a pastor one time, and I use that kind of facetiously. He just told me to do it. He said, make that a core value of your company, and so I went ahead and did it. Glad I did. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all these things shall be added unto you. Looked up and I saw the sign. I saw the sign, and it said fellowship. I was entering the town of fellowship, and Hebrews 10:25 came to mind. It said, do not neglect the meeting of the believers as some people do. I'm paraphrasing that. I'm quoting directly Matthew 6:33. I have that memorized, but I'm paraphrasing Hebrews 10:25. It says, do not neglect the meeting of the believers as some people do. And I instantly knew in that moment that that was the key to coming closer to God and being a better Christian than I had been. Seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, because all these things shall be added unto me. What are all these things? Not worrying about the world, but having the basic necessities for life, having closeness with him. And then I looked up and I saw the fellowship sign, and it made me think of that, and it reminded me I need to be close to other believers, and I need to lean on their strength, because the Bible says that that there is safety in a multitude of counsel. There's a safety in wise counsel. It's very important to have that. Those two verses will answer that question for you. Great question, and you're asking the right question. Sour Yam said, first time viewer, you got my sub. Love the pace. Thank you, Sour Yams. Really appreciate that. I think you'll like if you like today's content, I think you'll like that video coming out in 15 minutes. Make sure to check that out. Crypto Surge said, I have a question, but I guess I'll save it for Monday. You can ask now, and if it's and I can try and answer it quickly. We are going to wrap it out in the next couple of minutes. I did start a couple minutes late, so I'm going to go a couple more minutes. It's up to you. But I probably would be able to give you a longer answer if it's a kind of a more detailed question on Monday. Definitely appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Hazmat said, it has opened up my eyes. I'm not sure what it is. What has opened up your eyes? I'm glad your eyes are opened. I don't know what opened your eyes. You know, the Bible says the blind leading the blind. If the blind leads the blind, then they'll both fall into a ditch. You know, if I'm trying to lead you guys, I want to be able to see what I'm supposed to be doing myself. And so I'm doing my very best to live out in my life as much as I possibly can the principles that I'm trying to teach. And I'm just here to tell you guys that I'm not perfect at that. I am not perfect in that. It is a journey. It is not a destination. Financial sovereignty is not a destination. Wealth is not a destination. It's a journey. And it's a journey that we're on. And the thing I want to remind you guys is that, hey, I'm 22. I'm turning 23. I'm very young and early in this journey. And I don't look down on myself for that. And if you do, then fine. You do what you want to do. But what I see is that I have the zeal, and also I've been given a lot of wisdom to hopefully be able to make build a direction in our life that maybe you guys can come along with and we can grow together. I don't sit here to profess to be somebody who's been doing this for 40 years and I can sit back and say, oh yeah, back in my day, back in 1986, I did this and I did that and I did that and I got rich. I'm not there yet, but I believe one day if I continue following these principles that I am learning from Scripture, the Bible is the greatest financial book ever written. If I continue following these principles from Scripture and continue teaching, educating, and learning the principles that, you know, exist in modern times, like how to run a stop loss. Obviously, that didn't exist back then. If I continue to learn these things and do it the way that he's told me to do it, then I know that in time it will be successful. And I want to see that. And I want to see that in my life, and I want to see you guys doing that as well. Jonathan Martin said, happy to watch Jeb. Thanks. It's been a little while, and you are always refreshing to my friend. God bless. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Hazmat said, I saw the sight. It opened up my eyes. I saw the sight. Life is demanding without understanding. I saw the sign. Oh, I think you're saying, oh, you're singing the song. It opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. That song. Gosh. Oh, my goodness. Crypto Surge said, so once we hit the top, should I keep my Bitcoin or should I sell it and wait for the next bear market? I think it's important when you get to the top of a market that you take profit. I did not do enough taking profit at last bull market, and I regretted it. I'll tell you, firsthand experience, make sure you liquidate some of that. Maybe keep some of it if you're planning on holding it for the long term, but if you're up 300, 400%, take those profits while you got them. That is a risky biscuits place to be up 300, 400% and not having locked in some of that. Michael Saylor says, don't sell your Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is also almost only invested in Bitcoin, and I love Bitcoin, but I don't think that's the wisest decision. I think there is an important, I believe there is an importance in having a diversity of investments. Shadrach Frost said, smash the like button, folks. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bible did talk about investing in Israel, and guess what? Israel has been the tech innovation nation for years. Bible talks a lot about investing. I was saying that the Bible doesn't talk about, as far as that I am aware, the phrase stop loss doesn't exist there. Crypto Surge said, I hear the Southern accent. Yeah, you guys don't know it, but I came from the South. I used to talk like this every single day. I moved to the city for high school, and I lost my Southern accent, but you guys are hearing my adult accent, or lack thereof. I sound like normal SpongeBob SquarePants, if anybody's seen that episode. All right, guys, I do have to wrap it out. I really appreciate all of you tuning in. Surge, I hope that was a profitable answer to that question. I would personally highly recommend locking in some of those gains. I regret not doing as much of that as I did at the beginning of the last bear market, and it will not be a mistake that I make again. All right, guys. Hope all of you enjoyed today's content. Make sure to stay tuned relatively soon. I hope there is a piece of content coming out in 10 minutes. Really appreciate all of you for tuning in for today's stream. Make sure to tune in for that. Can't wait to see what we're going to be able to build together and how we're going to be able to chart a path together towards financial sovereignty. Make sure that to have a good weekend. Make sure to continue getting in control of your finances, getting out of financial bondage, and learning more about cryptocurrency and about investment at large, because investment is one of the ways that you are going to be able to utilize compound interest to generate wealth into the long term. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.